So it gives you more of an awareness if you keep your grace and you don't get slammed or blocked by fear or anger. You get to call what we call a neutral mind, where you get to step away and look at the situation instead of jumping in all the time. So you don't live in the world of action, reaction, action, reaction, that wears the body and the soul and the mind down. Would you say that it's, what? This is not that ungraceful that we can't get the sound system on. That's minor compared to things in life. To me, it comes down to one thing. Do I want to be happy or not? Because that's basically everybody's primary purpose, is to be happy. Is that true?
Yes.
Did you grow up to be miserable? Are you working hard to be miserable and to be sick all the time and not have any money and no one likes you? And is that your goal in life? Is it anyone's goal to be miserable? To feel old and just terrible and get sick and have no friends and no money and no food? No, it's nobody's. So the commonality of the whole human race is to be happy. And that's one reason when Yogi Bhajan came, he gave us a name for our organization: Happy, Healthy, Holy. It gives you more freedom to be happy if you're healthy. Is that true? You can be very, very happy, and you can be blissed out with stage 4 cancer and chemo, or doctors can't do anything more for you. You're lying in the bed. You can be, but you have to be pretty saintly or be in an altered state to be there, because often you're in so much pain. And so to really be free of pain and disturbances in the body, to be healthy, is a component or an easier way to be happy. And then this word holy that nobody really likes. Does anyone like that word, holy? I'm holy. Do any of you ever say that? I'm very holy? No. Most of us is kind of like, no, I was raised to think Jesus was holy, or Mary, or whoever it was you were brought up, but that's not me, and that's not really what I want to be. But yet, Yogi Bhajan defined holy, and many of you know as teachers of Kundalini Yoga, he just said it when all the holes in your body work. Think about it.
And are under your control.
Women have 10 holes, and men have 9 holes. You can count them if you want. But if they're all working from the mouth to the bottom of you, then you're feeling healthy. Is that correct? When you eliminate, when you take in the right, when you let go of the old, when the words come out right, when you're hearing correctly, every single thing. And we're not even counting all the pores in your body when you sweat too. So it brings us about to being happy. We seem to spend, most of us, a long time in our life, and that song, looking for love in all the wrong places, is looking for happiness in all the wrong places, but that's usually the adventure of our life. Isn't that true? Because mostly we didn't grow up in a culture or with parents that taught us what true happiness was. Most of us got taught, you might say incorrectly, but correctly in the sense that you have to walk this path on the earthly level to then get to the end of it, to say there must be something more than just what I've been seeking out. I think the newer generations aren't as much into what the older generation, the generation back and the generation before that, which I came from, I don't think that they're into as much material, the wants, the income in the bank. I think and I may be wrong, but I think they're more into the adventure of life, the seeker of truth. They're going about the planet, being more global, being more interconnected, and I've never met so many youth, ever, that are working for NGOs, or working all throughout the world, from South Africa to India to America to Europe, every place I travel. Young people come up and say, well, I started this NGO, or I'm heading up, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm just a seeker of doing something to help the world, and so I've done this. I've never seen it in my generation. Because in my generation, and that's from the 40s on, people were more about themselves, because that was the way the world was. The world basically was, what about me? And it was how everybody was. I was just talking to Mark over there about East Berlin, and he was asking me about East Berlin and what it was like, and we go there every year, and I'd been there in 1961 for a worldwide youth conference. That was before most of you were even born. It was a worldwide youth conference from kids from all over the world, and we gathered there along the wall, and that was my first kind of political, social activism when I was 19 in 1961 or 18, and we slept along the wall to make a statement, of course on the west because we couldn't be in the east, but for us it was like, take that wall down, give these people freedom, give these people freedom, this is not right. And we don't went on until 1989 until finally the wall went down. But we teach in East Berlin, and one of the places we teach is Jivamukti Center, and the beautiful co-director of it grew up in East Berlin. So I asked her the other night, I said, how was it growing up here? She said, it was really wonderful. She said, I said, weren't you without? Didn't you want to get out? Oh, you were in prison. And she said, no, not really. She said, we lived with each other. We lived in community. We all helped each other. We didn't have a big circumference, and so we were all together. And it was really quite wonderful. We were simple. We didn't want a whole lot of things because there wasn't a lot to be had. So they valued friendship. They valued family. They valued education. They valued sharing. They valued the real values of being a human being. And I said, what happened when the wall came down? And she said, well, that was the year I happened to win an award to be an exchange student in Michigan, in the United States. So she went from this small, close community to Michigan, into the vastness of consumerism and everything. And she said, I came back pretty startled, and my father could never adjust to this so-called what we think is freedom, and he committed suicide. And I think, she said, a lot of people had a very distraught time at that time, because they had lived in a world that was smaller, but they didn't feel necessarily that they didn't have freedom, because they had each other. Does that make sense? And sometimes we think we need that vastness and everything. Even when we go to India, so often in India, I'll get these big wide eyes of Indians, like up in the villages, that know enough English to say, I want to go to America. And of course they want you to sponsor them and that whole thing. And I looked and I said, why do you want to go to America? Because, and they talk, and I can see it in their eyes, that the cars, the movie stars, when I say we're from Hollywood, it's like, forget it. They just have dreams of this incredible, incredible life. And I said, but God isn't there. There isn't that you have in India. And to them, they don't even want to hear what I'm talking about, because it's always something else than what we have right in front of us. And you really see that grace grows. There's this great story by Osho where he just talks about enlightenment. And basically, it's so simple. He says, wash the dishes when they're in front of you. Sweep the floor when it's in front of you. Go to sleep when it's time to go to sleep. He makes us do what's in front of you. confuses us, what takes us out of grace, is shooting ahead. What if? Shooting ahead, shooting ahead, shooting ahead. And that's the whole purpose of any meditation, of any yoga really. It's so simple, but yet, if it was so simple, everybody would be doing it. It's the hardest thing. It's the most challenging thing that we all have in our whole lives, is how to keep the mind present. It seems so easy. We hear the words, well sure, why not? And already your mind has trailed so many different places. Every time you blink, it's 1,000 thoughts pass over your mind, pass over your head. And so today, in the yoga practice, when it gets hard, when you want to stop, when your mind is shooting out, and the mind will shoot out with, this is too hard, this hurts, how much longer, and a million other things that I don't even know, and I don't even want to know. How does one come back then to the present? Is it worth the work, or should we just be dreaming and wishing we weren't here and wishing we were someplace else? And I don't think so, because I don't think any of you would be here if that were. You've had it, many of us. You've had all that you've done that hasn't worked, and now you're here. And you're a seeker of truth, but your truth is you right now.